All right, good evening. Welcome to the City of Sunbury Council meeting. It's March 18th, 2026, 7:30 p.m. Would you please join me in a moment of silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance? Amen. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor St. John.
Here.
Mr. Capel.
Here.
Mrs. Cooper. Here. Mrs. Crawford. Here. Mr. Ghost.
Here.
Mr. Grumney.
Here.
Mr. Long.
Here.
7 present. We have quorum.
Looking for a motion on the minutes from March 4th, 2026, on pages 3 through 5 or 3 through 6 of your packet.
I'll make the motion.
Sorry. Mrs. Crawford made the motion. Mr. Long, second. Discussion, edits. Roll call.
Mrs. Crawford.
Yes.
Mr. Long.
Yes.
Mayor St. John.
Yes.
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper. Yes. Mr. Ghost.
Yes.
Mr. Grumney.
Yes.
7 yeas. Motion approved.
All right, good deal. Next item on the agenda is the visitor section. Are there any visitors that would like to speak with City Council this evening? About 3 minutes. State your name and address, please, if you can. Any visitors? We're gonna close visitor section. I assume some people want to speak.
Public comment?
Of course. It's the visitor section, public comment.
Visitors to be off.
You have 3 minutes. This is not a public hearing. This is just a public meeting.
Okay, very good. Good evening, Mayor and members of City Council. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. My name is Annette McMurray. I live at 3690 Worthington Road, and I am a resident of Genoa Township. I'm concerned about the city's expectation of financial benefits from the proposed AWS data center. Benefits that seem to hinge on massive tax incentives or offering in return. The city has proposed community reinvestment area or CRA property tax exemption of 87.5% abatement for the first 15 years, then 75% for another 15 years. Essentially a 30-year deal where Amazon only pays a fraction of normal property taxes. What does this actually bring some period? Reports from similar Ohio projects show data centers create very few permanent local jobs, often dozens, not hundreds, and many are highly automated. Statewide, billions in incentives have yielded minimal direct employment relative to the foregone revenue. If technology changes rapidly, which it already is, efficiency and automation, what happens to this facility becomes outdated, scales back operations in 5, 10, or 20 years. The economic boost could evaporate, leaving us with stranded infrastructure, higher utility demands, and little ongoing return while the abatement continues. What safeguards are in the contracts? Are there ironclad long-term commitments like minimum investment levels, job creation targets, or operational duration clauses that bind Amazon to stay and deliver? Many deals use payment in lieu of taxes or pilot instead of full taxes. But are these guaranteed, indexed for inflation, or enforceable if the project underperforms? With strong clawback provisions or penalties for non-compliance without those, we risk getting far less than promised. I urge Council, release full details to the citizens of Eastern Delaware County of the proposed agreements, including any pilot schedules, job guarantees, and enforcement mechanisms. Demand independent analysis of net fiscal impact over 30 years, accounting for technology risks and obsoletes. Pause approvals until we know these benefits are real, reliable, and protected, not just hopeful projections. Our city's finances and future shouldn't rest on uncertain promises. Thank you for your transparency and for prioritizing the residents of Eastern Delaware County. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak with City Council? Ms. Schreiner.
Good evening. Thank you guys for hearing me tonight. My name is Samantha and I live right here in this rural residential area, just outside the city, not miles of open farmland. Not sure if you've driven through the area, but there are rural neighborhoods north of 37 and south of Vans Valley, surrounding right where you want to put this industrial park and data center. You're not plopping this industrial park in the middle of farmland where there's no one around for miles. This proposed Amazon data center and industrial park would be our neighbor, bringing noise, potential pollution, massive infrastructure demands, and so many unknowns that no one wants next door. I don't blame my neighbors across the street or any of us for considering annexation and rezoning to escape this. If this toxic facility moves forward, many of us around here will feel the same way. No one wants to live next to heavy industry like this. The land could be developed in better ways that fit our rural residential character, ways that don't carry these risks to our health, our environment, and way of life. Are you prepared to let us all do the same, annex out or rezone because our property values could plummet? Or will we be stuck here watching values drop while the city pushes the industrial movement for economic gain? What I hear is that the city committed to this early for the economy without fully knowing long-term impacts. Do I want to sit around waiting for these unknowns to play out? Do I want my family and my kids to be guinea pigs for this experiment? You've asked us to trust you that you'll put the right restrictions and rezoning boundaries. This should have been thoroughly thought through and researched and properly vetted before signing on. If we'd been informed early and meaningfully, we might not be here at the 11th hour with things already moving forward. You're willing to talk about tighter rules now, but not say this isn't right for our community. I hope and pray you'll do the right thing for my family, for my kids, my neighbors' kids. This is their life, their land, their future we're talking about. Please reconsider this before it's too late and do the right thing by stopping this, not just delaying this. This is not the right land for this industrial park right in the middle of our neighborhood. Find some other land that's not right next to family homes to put this industrial park. Thank you for your time and for truly listening.
Thank you, Mr. Schreiber.
Hi, my name is Dr. Brandon, and tonight I wanted to address serious concerns about the potential water pollution from the proposed data center campus industrial park. Data centers consume enormous amounts of water. Cooling, their discharge can introduce pollutants, including chemicals like biocides, corrosion inhibitors, heavy metals, and especially what they call polyfluoroalkyl substances, which will be called PUFAs. They're called forever chemicals. These persistent compounds are often used in cooling systems. They don't break down easily in the environment. We understand there have plans for an additional water filtration facility to treat the wastewater before release, but does this actually work to eliminate all the risks? Standard filtration and treatment processes can remove many contaminants, but these PUFAs and certain other chemicals are notoriously difficult to filter out completely. Even advanced systems have failed to capture all these traces, allowing some to enter our waterways, groundwater, and municipal systems. The health consequences are alarming. The gold standard is the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA. Research states that increase in kidney and testicular cancer, a decrease in immune response, an increase in cholesterol levels, a decrease in birth weight and child developmental disorders, increase in liver inflammation and kidney damage, and a decrease in bone mineral density. We urge the council to demand full transparency on proposed filtration technology, its proven effectiveness against these and other pollutants, and independent testing. Require guarantees that existing water quality standards will not be compromised. Pause approvals until comprehensive environmental impact studies and public health assessments are completed. Sunbury's water, all the water, as a precious resource. Let's protect it for generations to come. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Schreiber.
Good evening, my name is Catherine Parker. I live in Galena, 8925 Capstone Drive. I have been a resident here and a high school graduate of Big Walnut High School. I'm coming here today to speak out against the data centers. I actually grew up in New Albany, where country living was a promise, and then we were taxed out, overdeveloped, and now been infested with data centers where I used to call home. Fields of corn and soy I used to identify as landmarks to where I was are now lifeless and apocalyptic. Paneled data centers and high density apartments with deers dead on every side of the road, loud, overrun with traffic, and the roads are horrific. My main concern is that I am only 25 years old, having to come in while also working a full-time job, working over 40 hours, and have to come and beg for my American dream in my hometown against a major developer. I will be practically priced out of even living in both towns in a normal home if this goes through, where Intel, Facebook, and other contractor employees employ and build. Employees with them will get rent discounts or discounted and paid for homes by the company, something that I will never get. This does not even speak to the inability now to afford a farm that I've been longing to do most of my life. They prey on farmers who feed you in return have the highest suicide rate and largest debt to keep your food prices low, giving them pennies on the dollar for their land because they have nobody to advocate for them. These are 60 to 80-year-old people who have never seen $1 million in their life, who have struggled paycheck to paycheck. So when they're offered $12 million for their land, of course they give in. But they're hidden behind secret NDAs and they have no idea what their family farm is going to be used for and nobody to advocate for them. I, a taxpaying citizen, and now being priced out by billionaires who have never been here or paid taxes that they will forever get out of. I not only cannot buy a land, but now have the following energy and health risks, such as noise pollution, miscarriages, and polluted water, along with the further destruction of the unique Ohio environment. I went to college, I got the degree, I paid my taxes, I did all the right things, and still I cannot accomplish my American dream of owning a farm, raising a family in a safe environment due to large corporate greed growing like a disease and now infecting small towns and taking advantage of the elderly. I should not have to beg to conglomerate billionaires who will never look me in the eyes and say, I'm sorry, or what can I do to help your community? I hope everyone on this board with children and grandchildren think very hard about the consequences of zoning commercially. Your children cannot survive under hidden NDAs, dirty water, and 1 acre of land if they can afford it. I hope you can save yourself from being known as the most selfish generation who killed the rural communities and the American dream of children who still aspire to be farmers, landscapers, and conservationists. If you don't kill the farmer or the small town owners with suicide, taxation, and financial constraint, you'll continue to kill them with your decisions.
Thank you, Ms. Hart. Anybody else like to speak with city council? Yeah, sorry.
My name is Francesca Parker, and I'm also a resident at 8925 Cupstone Drive in Galena, Ohio. And I'm here to bring attention to the emergency declarations on the agenda. Under Ohio Revised Code section 731.30, an emergency declaration is only valid for current expense appropriations, property owned, petition street improvements, or measures necessary for the immediate preservation of public peace, health, or safety. The Canton Crossing Ordinance 2126.06 states, and I quote, "This ordinance is hereby declared to be an emergency measure necessary for the immediate preservation of the public peace, health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of the city of Sunbury, Ohio, to allow development plat to be filled without undue delay to allow." And it ends there. To allow what? What development needs to be started without undue delay? This does not appear to pose a direct threat to public well-being, peace, health, or safety, and appears to me as the abuse of emergency declarations as seen before by the city council. The second ordinance on the agenda, annexing over 90 acres of residential land doesn't obviously fall into any of those categories. Per the same statute, the reasons for necessity must also be set forth in a dedicated section of the ordinance. No ordinance details are given on your website. Although other ordinances and resolutions are also given for this agenda, I could not find any ordinance given for the annexation of territory. Why is every other resolution ordinance given on the website, but this is being declared an emergency on its first reading without being posted? I urge the council to reconsider their use of emergency ordinances as you continue to lose the trust of the public, myself included.
Hello, my name is Alexa Provost. I live at 14711 East State Route 37, and I wasn't planning to speak tonight, to be honest. This meeting was sprung up on me. I'm fully prepared for the March 23rd meeting, but this, in kind of conjunction with a lot of the other things that have happened, isn't made very clear to your public. What I would just like to say, though, having the chance, is I did come to the last month's meeting and plenty of things were said and hopefully heard. And I guess my question to you is I fully respect folks that put themselves into positions as yourselves. And I do believe that it poses a lot of difficult decisions and questions to do right by your community. Especially in the extremely polarized times that we've been living in the past decade. I can't imagine some of the complicated nuances of these roles. What I can say, though, is that what I saw last month and at the meeting last month, and what I continue to see, is a very united front in a time where it's hard to get two people to stand on the same side of the fence about anything. So I guess my question to you that will go unanswered, as many have, is what, like, if it's unanimous that we've spoken that it's not what's right for our community, it's not what's right for our children, it's not what's right for the long term. You know, like, I'm open to hear things and hear both sides of the story, but this is very one-sided. So if decisions are made in opposition to what everyone's here to speak on, who's going to stand and say why, or what's the motive, and at what point do we get to understand that? Unfortunately, it feels like we're going to be told to try to understand it when it's already been done, which isn't the way that this is all supposed to work. So I've been proud to stand among the folks that have spoken out. But I also feel very disappointed in how you've represented the community in the process. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak with City Council?
Hello, thank you for being here. And my name is Candy May. I live at 2200 County Road 605. And I guess all I want to say is I stand in unison with all of these folks here. I spoke last time, but I guess what I want to tell you, Mr. Mayor, is if you want to win your next election, you know how you do it. You stand for these people, and then we would all stand for you. And that would be the biggest point that you could do if you want to win your next election for Delaware County. Stand up for our people that you've been put here for, and stand up for us, and then we would stand up for you. It would go a long way.
Okay. Would anyone else like to speak with City Council?
Hi, I'm Patty Shipley, and I run a native plant nursery from my property on County Road 605. I think everyone here tonight knows there's been an explosion in data centers, and the country with the most is ours. And Ohio happens to be 4th or 5th most in the country, depending on what resource you look at. And most of them are concentrated around Central Ohio, which is not far from where we live, and soon, hopefully, not going to be where we live. The two biggest things that are driving this explosion in data centers are AI expansion and federal tax policies. If I put a greenhouse on my property for my nursery, it would take 10 to 20 years for me to take the full tax write-off for that. But data centers can take it all in year one, which is ridiculous. And I know what I would say should be more incentivized is a business that's supporting the rebuilding of habitats and ecosystems over rapid expansion of artificial intelligence that's being used to make rich people richer. As a naturopathic practitioner, I've spent 25 years thinking about systems, how health is shaped by what, not just one decision, but by the accumulation of many different things. And what concerns me here is that we're getting ready to shove something into our community without really giving it serious thought and without doing any deep groundwork on what that's going to mean to our community. Other residents near large data centers are reporting higher electricity bills, scant water resources, the basically loud noises all the time, changing of the rural character, lowering of quality of life, and health issues. And the problem with this rapid expansion is that research and regulations are not keeping up. So what we really need to think about is taking a pause and instead of just shoving this through, giving it real thought, doing real studies, real research into how this is going to impact our community. There's a reason why so many communities right now are doing moratoriums or fighting for moratoriums on data centers. And it's because people are starting to see what it's doing to communities. New Albany and Johnstown right now should be our basic cautionary tales. Thank you so much for hearing me.
Thank you. Sir.
Thanks for having me. My name is Chris Branley. Right now I'm at 3420 Wheelwright Drive in Galena. I am building a house in Miller Farms, unfortunately. Shame on me for not doing research and for seeing what was going on. I do want to say shame on me, shame on my realtor. But I lived in Westerville my entire life, was proud to call it my home. So socioeconomic issues started to come about. I'm a stay-at-home dad with 5-year-old triplets and an 8-year-old. I'm going to get emotional, sorry. Miller Farm was our dream, literally. Everything fit the mold. 5 minutes from mom, 5 minutes from other family, quiet. I've been in the tech world, I'll say, for probably 20 years. I know what data centers are. I know what they do. I know the bad, the good, all of that. I'm not going to argue that data centers aren't important right now, but I will say it's important where we put them. I noticed because immediately my mind went to the noise. I moved out here for quiet. I live next to 270 and 161. Very noisy traffic. So house right off Vans Valley Road, barn right behind me. Bob's your uncle, his dad says. Now I have to worry about, I haven't decibel metered it myself, but 55 to 65 decibels all the time. That's not with generators. What happens when the wind knocks power out? Diesel generators are loud, very, very, very loud. I've heard them. I mean, like I said, my only real, and it's not a question, it's kind of an ask, is you guys put yourself in myself's position. No way I can move right now. I put 50 grand down. I don't have 50 grand to throw away, and this is a smaller house. It's not one of the big mansions. We don't have all that. We just wanted to be out here for peace and quiet. And standing up here, I never done this before, but I realize all you guys are just people like me. And hopefully you see the emotion in my voice, in my face, and just listen to the people. Right or wrong, just listen to people. Especially, as everybody said, if we can all agree on this, I'm sure we can all argue about something outside. So if we can get together, you need to listen. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak with City Council?
My name is Teresa Parker. I live at 8925 Cupstone Drive. I came here to what I call the best kept secret in Central Ohio. I live in Genoa Township, peaceful country, I came from New Albany. I built my dream house there. My husband's an obstetrician. I'm a nurse. We have 6 kids. We watched our taxes skyrocket. We watched the construction trucks come and go when the data centers were coming in. It was all planned before we even bought our lot. The deals were done and nothing was disclosed. We came here to escape the noise, the construction, the high-density apartments that look like army barracks, the congestion, and now the crime. So we found our little slice of heaven. I'm a beekeeper. We have good neighbors. And now I'm facing the same problem we just left. As a nurse, I am so concerned about the area residents within a 5 to 10 mile radius of the data center. It causes miscarriages, cancer, air pollution, water pollution. It's so unhealthy. I've talked to people who work at data centers, and when they show up in the morning, it breaks daylight. It's so light there all the time, and it's apocalyptic looking. It looks like a prison. Please, all of you, drive down Beach Road. When we first moved to New Albany, that's where I was going to go next, to buy land on Beach Road. One day I drove down there with the kids, and every tree was clear cut because the data centers were coming. Please don't let that come here. There are so many better opportunities for that land. Health-wise, there's a school in that area. The Marathon pipeline runs under that area. And just like in Genoa Township, when they tried to raise our density, we came together as a community to have the referendum. And then they finally listened to us, and because over 70% of the voters came out and voted. We fought them not listening, and they were not reelected. Please listen to us. You represent us. This is a no-win situation. As a resident, as a nurse, as a member of the best kept secret in Central Ohio, I just ask that you drive down Beach Road and look at it. It's horrifying. It ruins the aquifers. It'll contaminate the watershed into the Hoover, which is the drinking water for the city of Columbus. Please do the right thing.
Thank you, Mrs. Park. Anybody else like to speak for city council?
Hello, everybody. I'm Patrick Jansen. I was here last time as well. I live at 100 High Street in Sunbury, a really sweet spot in town. Been here for 46 years, almost 50. I don't even feel 50. And my wife's a lifetime resident, so we're connected. And I think the biggest thing is, it's been said, is from the water, where do you get the water from? How bad does it get polluted? The light pollution, the noise pollution. I understand you guys, I saw it in the Gazette, you celebrated the deal for the Amazon, and I understand some of the concepts behind growth and some of the reasons where we can get some money to the schools and to the taxpayers and keep the tax base low. But we're all telling you that's not the way we want to do it. Because there's other ways to do it. We've done it in other ways. You guys have done it before. You guys work hard. I respect what you guys do. You work very hard. And you have other jobs and lives just like the rest of us. But it's, like my dad has always said, it's never too late to do the right thing. Sometimes we make a tough decision and we go in the wrong direction for a second. It's time to recorrect the course. Because, it's one thing, we're in a circle of life. The crap cycle is real, life is real, the water is real. We can't put a big pop mark in the middle of our cycle and expect it to be easy and expect people to want to live here or stay here or to keep things nice. We have a great place. You guys work hard. We're going places. I think we're fixing the park down there. It's fantastic. But we need sensibility. We need studies. We need time. We don't need emergencies. We have enough emergencies around here, around the world. This is Sunbury. And let's be the example. it's time to stop. I'm speaking against the data centers in that area. It does not need to be an emergency. The people have spoken. I appreciate you listening. I'm gonna stand here for another minute and do something else. It's difficult, you know, because you see it a lot with the growth, and you've seen it over there in Albany, and the guy spoke last time that does the construction, said there was an explosion over there in one of those already, and no one knew about it. Why don't we know about it? Because they don't want us to know about it. You know, we're not, you know, please change the course, pause. We don't need to pass anything emergently. We don't need to rob our resources. We don't rob ourselves to pay ourselves. It doesn't make any sense. And maybe you guys didn't know that at first, and maybe now it's starting to become clear. I don't really know, but it's time now to make that decision and change course. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak with city council?
Good evening, thank you. I am Rena Carver and I live at 108 High Street. I did speak last time at the last meeting. I'm really not going to go ahead and repeat all the things you're starting to hear a lot. I know you're aware of a lot of this. I kind of just wanted to put on record, I'm not sure what the plans, I'm sure the plans are for the next meeting to have it here at the same venue, but I think everyone that was at the last meeting understands that it made it a little difficult for everyone who may have wanted to speak. I think the people that were downstairs, which I was at one point in the beginning, we're not sure if they would have an opportunity. I'm not sure if it's been considered to maybe have this next meeting at a venue that would be a little more appropriate for the amount of people that we're expecting to come. I don't know if it's the type of meeting where we're able to speak like this as well. I just thought I would put that out there. And again, go on record as opposing the data center here in Sunbury.
You bet. Thank you. Are there others that would like to speak with city council?
I'm gonna be short because I do not bear with you.
Okay.
So my name is Christine Proctor, 2186 North County Road 605. I have never been to one of these meetings, and I was just curious how we find out all the answers to these questions. I'm like, that's a great question. I want to know that. So where do I come, or how do I find out how you answer all these questions? That's all I have.
Great question. Anyone else? Ben, it's normally just you in the audience. Come.
Oh, look, it's a microphone. I wasn't gonna say anything this time, but listening to all this, there's a couple things that, aside from the actual details of the buildings that are being proposed, I just wanted to throw out there that, having just come from an ODOT meeting where they rented out one of the buildings at the fairground, which was huge and had presentations all over the place, that perhaps, given the community's involvement here, that might be something we might want to consider, to get all the facts out there, have representatives if they want from the proposed facilities, and remove all of what seems like, and I don't know for a fact that this is true, emergency language in any of the ongoing proceedings. And that is all.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak with city council? Anyone else? Got one.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Wendy Jansen. I live at 100 High Street. And I just wanted to go on record as agreeing with everything everyone said wholeheartedly. And hoping that, like my husband said, it's never too late to do the right thing, that you
take into consideration everything people have said here. These are the people that pay the taxes and who you are supposed to be representing. That's your job. I also just wanted to say, it wasn't too long ago, I can't tell you, a few months, I was walking on the train trestle across the bridge across the creek, and an eagle flew right in front of me. We never saw eagles. Never, when we were little. And we're back. That's awesome. Don't send us back 70 years to the DDT days and all. Like, we don't need that. Let's keep moving forward and make strides when it comes to environmental awareness and health and how that impacts health. It's hard to get people to care about the animals when they don't seem to care about the people. I have a wildlife management degree from Ohio State. I'm lifelong Sunbury resident. On my block alone, and this is pre-data center, we've had a neurological disorder, 2 brain cancers, a child under 10 died from cancer, a full-term baby died. You know, I don't know everyone's health history, but that's what I know. On my one little tiny block here in town, we already have too many toxins in our world, in our lives. We don't need more. We can't afford more. So please do the right thing. Keep our community clean, safe, and happy. You know, I could go on and on about the nocturnal animals that will be destroyed. The lightning bugs. I have 3 acres here in town. It's kind of unique. We've spent the last 15 years planting native plants and bringing in the bees and the lightning bugs and all the things. And we have bluebirds now and fox, and we've had deer give birth on our property right here in town. Those things matter. That's quality of life. It's not just, we don't want to look at something ugly. That's quality of life. That affects your everyday mental health. And for people who have already invested in this town my whole life, we deserve to be heard and we deserve to be represented. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak with city council?
Hello, I'm Leanne Lander. I live on Trenton Road. The initial footprint of this thing looked like it was between Vans Valley and 37. The latest footprint comes all the way into our backyard, so it's really, really close. It was bad enough before. I grew up in an industrial zone, in an area that had the wastewater treatment plant, a trash burning power plant. I don't know if any of you remember that down in the Grove City area. That was a terrible flop. After analysis and realizing how terrible and catastrophic that was for health purposes, they shut it down. We moved to this area because of the beauty, of the quiet, of what everyone else is saying about this place. We love the rural factor, and somewhere in an FAQ I saw where our property value will increase because we're now going to be considered an industrial zone. That is just the opposite of what real people feel about property value. So property value will really decrease because no one in the history has ever said, I can't wait to build my dream home in the industrial center. It just doesn't happen. I also have an environmental degree. The mudflats area is, I don't know if you know how rare mudflats is in itself. It's just a beautiful, rare thing. I don't have time to go into it, but it's something you don't see every day. And it's the way that ebbs and flows. It's very important. And we're going to be pushing all kinds of chemicals into that mudflats area, which is, we have a gym on our hands here is what I'm trying to say, and we don't even know it. Lastly, I tried to get permits. I live in a property. I live by Sage Creek. It's beautiful. One of the deciding factors, I chose that property because out of all the parcels of land, we have a live running creek in our backyard. Beautiful. I had an owl last 2 years sitting right in my ravine, looking right at me, which was the biggest gift. But anyways, I tried to get a permit to just have a garage, just an extended garage. We didn't get it because of permitting and the problems we would have with a 1 foot variance. As city council, all I'm saying is we had trouble as a tax paying person who loves this area. I couldn't get a 1 foot variance. We have this company coming in. Are you going to hold them to the same stringent standards when they're asking for all this variance and everything? We may not be able to stop this, but can we at least mitigate it? Can we at least do the right things and hold them to standards that protect health, protect our environment, the noise, everything that we can do? We may not be able to stop this thing, but this is your moment. Thank you so much for the public service that you do here. But you have a legacy moment here to turn things around. So thank you. Thank you for listening.
Would anyone else like to speak with city council? Would anyone like a water? Got some waters. Anyone else like to speak with city council? Yeah, but if there's written testimony, we will take that. Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak with city council? Last call. We're gonna move on. Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone who came. Feel free to stay for the meeting. Next item on the agenda is committee reports. Mr. Long?
None for me.
Mr. Grundy?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We had a finance meeting this evening and covered several important topics. We talked about our investment strategy, and Ms. Stefan, our Director of Finance, our watchdog, prudently moved some money from interest-bearing account that where interest is declining into a more growth strategy through a laddered investment approach, moving money from Star Ohio to Fifth Third Securities. So thanked her for watching the city's money and doing what's best to allow money to make money. So thank you, Ms. Stefan. We also got an update on the ClearGov software we're using. It's a budgeting and forecasting tool, and she went through some updates and how that tool is helping staff in budgeting and forecasting our capital budgets. So glad to see that's moving along nicely. She also pointed some capital assets and expenditures on projects and equipment, including Granville Street widening, the street improvement program, road resurfacing, and some capital improvements for the rapid flash and 3 rapid flash beacons, an excavator, and a plow truck, just to name a few. And then we went over our typical monthly bank to book reconciliation and tax collection. So thank you, and meeting went smooth. So
Sir,
thank you.
appreciate it. Mr. Capel?
Nothing tonight.
Mrs. Cooper?
Yes, we had an events and commemoration meeting yesterday, and we went over quite a bit, so I'm just gonna list them off quickly. The events that are gonna be coming to Sunbury. There's a community Easter egg hunt, March 28th, the Terry Hummel Memorial Fishing Derby, June 6th. I spoke last time about the marathon that Mr. Pratt came. He came back September 12th. It's really interesting. He's really doing a lot of work, a lot of collaborative work, because his marathon is going to go outside of Sunbury and come right back in. So it's very cool what he's doing and how he's gotten a lot of emergency services to work together as they do. So it was really neat. Sunbury Memorial Day Market was here to represent May 25th. We had some gentlemen from the Olin TMG Disc Club. We got a couple Disc Club events coming, a lighted up event that'll be obviously in the evening. I think there's 2 that day, like a lunchtime event and then a glow event. And he brought a glow in the dark disc. If you've never seen one, it was really neat. Like, he lit it up and it It was very cool. And then a May the 4th Be With You event they're doing also, May 4th. And then we had a representative discuss a new potential event coming this fall, a hot wing and musical festival. I encourage Damon especially to go back and listen to the meeting, but also I encourage all of you maybe to listen to it, talk. This is the second event actually in 2 months where it's been a new event to Sunbury. They've come to the events committee and they've said, we don't have it all figured out. We do not have health and safety services approval yet, but we just wanted to get it in front of you and get you guys to know what's going on. And we're working with the staff. And I just really, as the chair of that event, that committee, I just really appreciated that I wasn't going to be surprised by a website pop up or something pop up and I don't even know what's going on. So a lot of work to be done on that event. But it was nice that they came, and sounds like police, fire, everybody's involved. Everyone's trying to make it work. So if you have any questions about that, Mr. Hennessy would be happy to answer them. I think that was it.
Thank you very much.
Good meeting.
Mr. Crawford? Mr. Ghost?
Yeah, we did have the fire board meeting last week and got a nice update on the construction of the new building. Beautiful new building. It's actually going to be probably delayed at least 30 to 60 days. Nothing unusual for a building that size. And what they're going through out there. They did have some minor storm damage, nothing major. But all in all, I think the crew is pretty happy, pretty satisfied with everything.
Great.
So
Thank you very much. All right, we do have a zoning meeting this upcoming Monday. That's all I have there. City manager report, Mr. Hennessy.
Yeah, so quickly, a couple of items. One, I just want to note we'll talk probably a little bit more about the Sunbury State of the City address. But the note I want to make is, remember, that is a special meeting of council. So we will be posting that tomorrow. I do need a quorum of council members in attendance. If you're not going to be there, please let me know just to make sure we do have the quorum that we need. Eastern Delaware County Joint Recreation District. You've probably seen the survey is out. A second community survey is out. We have until the end of this month, March 27th, to fill that out. You can go to the Delaware County Joint Recreation District website. There's a link to the survey, essentially trying to hone in a little bit more on the programming that would occur inside of the center, the size of the center that would be recommended, and the site selection criteria that the community wants us to prioritize. United Dairy Farmers, you've probably seen that. The store is closed now. We've talked about that. I think as a group, certainly it's gone through the Planning and Zoning Commission. The owners indicate that the store will be back open to the public later this year, so we'll keep you posted as we learn more. J.R. Smith Park, you've probably seen that the progress has started to fence off the area. The contractor will begin work next week. One other point, I think this may have come up at a meeting earlier this week. There have been markings to protect trees. So what you see out there, the ropes or the ribbons basically are trees that are to be protected, not to be torn down. So just FYI on that front. Little Walnut Creek Interceptor. I think we've talked a little bit about this. This is that small leg of the interceptor over near Golf Course Road and Cheshire. The bid opening will happen this Friday. Construction to happen later this year. They still need to, Delaware County still needs to get the right-of-way clearances in place before that happens. Next up, construction at Fairland and Weatherby. I know we do have a couple of representatives from the developer in the room. Appreciate the cooperation that's happened in the last week or so to try to manage the traffic situation over there. Feel like we are making progress on that front. With the help of an on-site inspector that the city has sent over to assist. So if you're continuing to hear issues, let us know that. But again, feel like we are making progress on that front. We'll continue to monitor that. And then a couple of other items under public safety, and I'll let the chief talk to them just a little bit more. You've probably seen, we've talked a little bit about the issues with electric and motorized vehicles, bicycles, if you will, scooters, what have you, on city sidewalks and streets. There are efforts underway to write an updated ordinance that will get in front of you to kind of manage, what is permitted, not permitted with respect to the use of those vehicles. And finally, just has been another round of
of break-ins happening. I think, each year we kind of remind folks to, please lock your cars, be vigilant about protecting your valuables. It's spring and that's kind of what happens. So I don't know, Chief, if there's anything you wanted to add on those last two items.
Just the electric bikes and whatnot, we're getting a big push on that right now. The other day we had two fourth or fifth graders show up at the intermediate riding motorcycles. And they come up to the parking lot. One of them went flying up the sidewalk in front of the school. And as soon as he cleared the little bus area there was another girl coming up, actually in a wheelchair. So this motorcycle had to have passed her on the sidewalk. The middle school, it's a problem out there. I know they show up out there, they want to ride around with their friends, they're jumping off curbs out into traffic. Somebody's going to get hurt or worse. The theft of the vehicles that we had, like Mr. Hennessy said, they hit us every now and then. It comes out. It's usually a group that comes up from Franklin County or City of Columbus. They see a target-rich environment and people have a lot of trust here in Sunbury, and they leave vehicles unlocked with laptops on seats, wallets on seats. One incident, there was a firearm left in the car. Just make sure you secure that stuff, put things away, and don't, if they can't get in it, they're not gonna push for it. So lock your cars, secure your weapons, and don't be an easy target. Is there any specific neighborhood they're targeting, Chief? Not really. They scatter around. Sometimes they hit Genoa and they'll leave us alone. They'll hit Delaware City and then they'll hit us. No really rhyme or reason to it. They'll just, we've had them tell us before that they'll get on a Google like new developments and whatnot. And when they see there's a whole neighborhood of, $750,000 homes, that's where they want to go.
They're primarily just opening the car doors. They're left open.
Correct. We'll see them on camera. Everybody has a ring doorbell now, and you'll see them cruise through the neighborhoods. And sometimes the cars don't even stop, and you'll get 6, 7 people out of one car, and they'll run and start pulling doors. Garage doors left open. They get in your garage door, they're going in your house, because how many of you really locked the garage door, the man door in your garage? It's just stuff you don't think about. And we've had calls where cars have been going through inside the garage because they left the garage door partially open for a pet. Have you had any reports of anyone entering the homes? Not from that, no. We've had a couple, I don't want to say home invasions, but they were aggravated burglaries, but that was not related to this, no.
Electric vehicles, attended a Delaware City Council meeting not too long ago. They were proposing new legislation. I'd say we try to mirror as much as like what our counterparts are doing as possible. The one thing their chief of police talked about is it's really challenging. I guess there's different tiers of these electric vehicles, and I don't know what the ratings are, if it's wattage or speed or what it was, but he basically was saying, from a cruiser or even you or I is not going to be able to identify that unless they're catching them on a speedometer or a speed gun, or you're going up and actually looking at the specs on the vehicle. Now, I know this is going to make me sound really old, but we used to make kids that had mopeds get licenses and things like that. I know I love seeing kids outside, but I saw what you were talking about. These were literally like mini motorcycles, and they were riding on sidewalks and going by driveways, and it's just a nightmare scenario if somebody's backing out of their driveway and doesn't see a kid.
We had one over at Callaway just the other day. I think it was Friday. It was Thursday. I'm sorry, Thursday. School ends. We're over there just kind of helping the kids get through with the congestion we've had. And one of the kids come flying up Callaway there, and as he got to Weatherby, he crashed. Well, luckily he wasn't hurt. Nobody else was hurt. But when you look at all these classes for all these ordinances, they say like it's an assisted motor, but the bike has pedals. None of these that we're seeing have pedals.
And Yeah, like we need electric dirt
Yeah,
bikes.
when you have an electric bike that it's going down the square at 20 mile an hour and you watch the kid crack into it and he's 8 years old riding a wheelie down the middle of the street, that stuff's got to stop because somebody's going to get killed.
You're gonna come back with recommendations on
Yeah, so-
proposed ordinance language. We're gonna
Right.
communicate with the public when we go to discuss that.
Yeah, thanks for the suggestion on the city of Delaware. I know we've looked at some of the other neighboring jurisdictions, but we'll definitely look for Delaware as well.
Great.
That's it.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Hennessy?
Just wanted to add that today on the City of Sunbury's Facebook, they posted for some seasonal positions that we're hiring for. So if anyone knows anyone looking for a seasonal job this summer, 16-year-old plus. And I think there's wastewater treatment
Yeah, and-
as well. So a couple positions open in Sunbury if you know anybody.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else? All right, next item on the agenda, resolutions. We have a third reading, resolution number 2026.05. Resolution approving pavement management group relating to pavement assessment and pavement management services. Looking for a motion to approve. Got a motion by Mr. Grumney.
Second.
Second by Mr. Capel. Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
7 yeas, motion approved.
Second reading, resolution number 2026.06, a resolution approving the expansion of the Sunbury New Community Authority District to include the Kintner Crossing Phase 1 development. As a reading only. Resolution number 2026.07, a resolution approving construction administration and inspection services with Environmental Design Group relating to the J.R. Smith improvements. J.R. Smith Park improvements. Mr. Hennessy?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, staff is asking if council is comfortable to act on this evening. As I had indicated earlier, the contractor will begin the work. Well, they're already begun the work, but they'll begin the work in earnest next week. So we want to make sure we have our inspector on site, and that's what this resolution does.
This is for the Edge Group, right? The report that you have in here.
Yep, selected through a quality-based selection process. Also a firm we've worked with in the past for the parking lot over here on the corner.
All right, great. So I believe we're looking for a suspension of the rules. Any questions, comments?
I'll make that motion.
Got a motion to suspend the rules by Mrs. Cooper,
I'll second.
second by Mrs. Crawford. Discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes. Excuse me,
Mr.
yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
7 yeas, motion approved.
Motion on resolution 2026.07.
Got a motion by Mrs. Cooper,
Second.
second by Mrs. Crawford. Cool. Discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
7 yeas, motion approved.
All right, first reading resolution number 2026.09, a resolution establishing a mayor's court special projects fund. I had to actually ask about this a little bit, as it says, but it's just a reading tonight.
Yeah, just a reading this evening.
Legislation.
Yep.
Thank you. And we have ordinances, no third reading, second reading, ordinance number 2026.06. An ordinance approving the final plat for Kintner Crossing Commercial, declaring an emergency as a reading only. First reading, ordinance number 2026.07, an ordinance accepting a petition for annexation of territory consisting of 95.982 plus or minus acres of land located in Trenton Township, Delaware County, moved by Edgel Weaver, Michelle Weaver, trustees, and declaring an emergency. There's a reading only. All right, we have new or unfinished business. Any new or unfinished business, Mr. Long?
Not here.
Mr. Grumney?
No, sir.
Mr. Capel?
That's nice.
Cooper? Mrs. Crawford?
Well, Mr. Long and I got to take a tour of the wastewater treatment plant. I thought you would, take this opportunity. An hour tour turned into a 2-hour tour, but it was totally worth it. Gave some great perspective on what they do for us. And I personally have never cared for litter, but after seeing some of or how things operate over there, I would encourage people not to litter because it winds up in the sewer and then in the wastewater plant. And of course, it gets cleaned out, but it was a very interesting process, and I'm grateful that we were able to go.
Excellent. Thank you. Mr. Gomes?
Nothing here, sir.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to say thank you to the public for coming out this evening. I know I personally take as detailed notes as I possibly can while still engaging in what you're saying. I do go back and listen to the meeting minutes. I assume some of us do, if not all. What we did in the zoning commission meeting, for those of you who are here, there was, many comments, similar comments. Our staff takes those comments and then tries to break them into affinity groups, and especially where the public has provided, let's say, like research studies. So if you're referencing something and you provide us with documentation, our team is then kind of has a head start into, okay, this is a health concern and it has to do with low frequency noise, and here's the study, and we're going to look at it and see it's like, is it objective? We understand that there's a lot of information that you are researching, and there's a lot of information that we're taking in. You probably have done hours and hours and hours of research and thought and spent months thinking about this. Distilling it down into 3 minutes is very difficult for you to do, I'm sure, and we want to be able to take that feedback very seriously. So it takes us time to research this. There's no intent to cram anything through. There is no intent on saying, you know what, we want to build a data center right now. That we want Amazon to build a data center right now. That is not factual. This is a long runway. Government moves slow. I guess in this case, that's a good thing. That's the first time I've ever said that. But we need to do our due diligence too. And I'll tell you just this is my take, and I think I may have hit on this in our last council meeting, but there are some things that I really want to understand better, and I've instructed our staff to do more due diligence on. This is not comprehensive, but I would say my kind of top of the list items. Really want to understand the low frequency noise. That's something I believe is a gap in our zoning code, in my opinion, when looking through it. We do what's called like traditional decibel metering, and basically it's a standard that's probably somewhat outdated when you're talking about consistent low frequency noise. But it's like, if you're at the property boundary, it can only be 80 decibels. So the further you go away, theoretically, that sound profile goes down, and the further you're away from a data center or wherever, it should be less impact. There are studies that I've read recently that are counter to that, and low frequency noise has the ability to penetrate through the ground and through walls and glass. And this is just one topic I'm hitting on that I personally am taking very seriously, and I know our staff is too, and I assume our council members are. But these are complicated things, and I think there were a couple of themes that I heard tonight where it's like, you didn't think about that, and I admit that there are things that has been raised, items that I am legitimately concerned as well, and I want to understand better. But I want to be able to hear all sides, and I don't mean hear from Amazon. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I want to be able to read multiple studies. I know we had multiple people from the medical field that were here tonight. That's like it right in your bailiwick, right? Like you research all sides to make sure you come up with what you think is the right decision. And I will do that. The other ones are generator utilization limitations. I don't think we heard too much around that tonight. I know I heard some around pollution, but in non-emergency situations, we have in our zoning code, and I encourage you all to read this, and I'm sorry we don't have packets of this. I'd highly recommend that we have just more eyes on our existing limited industrial district zoning code, so you can point out the gaps as well. Because we have done a lot of work on that particular district. We looked at other communities to model it off after, and we enhanced those standards. So when I talk about generator utilization limitations, I mean, in general, like there are windows of time that they can test generators and not just data centers, but like any other user, and windows of time they cannot. And there's limitations on how much noise it can produce. But, you know, when we're talking about the size and scale of some of the generators that are on Beach Road, and, you know, if they're all running at the same time, like that's probably going to put off a lot of noise and put off a lot of pollution. Those are things we need to look at. Property value impact near the data centers. I've asked our team to look at, you know, the actual impact in central Ohio, you know, within close proximity or a mile out or 5 miles out. I mean, there's been enough data centers built in central Ohio that there's data available for that. We haven't researched it fully, but I can tell you that we will. Pollution, air and water quality standards, and reuse standards. Those are like my top 5. And it probably sounds like there's more than 5, but those are the 5 groupings: frequency, noise, generator utilization, property value impact, pollution, and then water quality standards. And I know this was not scheduled, but does anybody else have anything to add while we have the public here? I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but those are, there's a lot to take in from this.
No, I agree with everything you said, and I think hopefully what we're trying to convey is that there's no groundbreaking happening anytime soon. This is far from construction. This is far from bulldozers coming to the ground. There's still a lot to be discovered. As you mentioned, a lot of discussions, a lot of research still to be happening. Nothing is signed or delivered yet. So we're taking all these concerns. And again, we are residents. I have relatives that live close to where the data center is going to be. I understand the impacts and the concerns. It's a lot of the unknown also, I think is a concern. Industry in general has its problems, but so do residentials and golf courses. I mean, golf courses emit a lot of chemicals in the ground. If you research golf courses and the treatments they use on the grass and the water runoff and those sorts of things. So it's all things that need to be researched. I agree with everything the mayor said. So,
And I'm not asking for you to agree with me, by the way. Like, I want the public to know that we're listening and we're not rushing through this. And this is the first time I've been proud to go slow. Any other comments, questions?
I would just say, we understand that these meetings aren't set up for a give and take, and that's just not the way the city council meetings run. But understand that we are listening to you. We're reading your emails and we're hearing what you're saying. I got an email today and there was a lot of concerns about the middle school being so close. We live in the neighborhood, the Gardens, that's the neighborhood right by the middle school. Mr. Gumney is really not that far from it. We all live here. And just because you may not see us on social media, or you may not see us speaking from a city perspective really loudly, it doesn't mean that we're not working behind the scenes. We are. This just isn't a good environment for us to talk about it like this, or we're not going to go on Facebook or social media or Twitter or anything like that. But just like Mr. St. John was saying, we are listening to you. We're doing our research. Our staff is working really hard. We're all working really hard. And there's nothing, we have nothing coming up where we're voting on this yet. There's no rush.
Any comments, questions? All right, we do
have one more thing.
So, of course,
with regard to what Ms. Cooper had to say, can you comment a little bit for the public on the process and in terms of what we did tonight with the first reading, what the future looks like with regard to that, and then also the fact that there hasn't been any development plan submitted to my knowledge.
Right. Yeah. So I'll just, and what I think everybody generally, if I mistook any of this, please feel free to grab me or feel free to grab me. We're gonna have a little break and then an executive session. If I misunderstood this, but I think the majority of the comments and questions were around the Amazon data center. I did hear some references to the limited industrial district or the business park. The one that has the most clarity is around Amazon data center. And that is what the city has done is we've incentivized them to come here. That was a couple of years ago. I believe they volunteered to pay an NCA. Is that true? NCA is a new community authority. So more or less it's not a pilot, but it's like a pilot. So they're going to be paying a lot of taxes and a lot of additional charges, and they're going to pay for all the infrastructure. That's generally the things that have been approved. What has not been approved and what has not have been presented is a development plan. So a development plan is really like where buildings are, what it's going to look like. Does it fit within the zoning code? Somebody mentioned variances. I can tell you, nobody on this board, we just developed the zoning code. There's no intent to grant any variances for this. I don't expect that to happen anytime soon. I mean, and the reason is because they don't have power or water. And if you don't have power or water and you're in the data center business, that means you don't have a data center. So in our last council meeting, I think I mentioned just some of the rough timelines that I'd heard. And I haven't talked to Amazon in particular anytime lately, but they are talking like 2031. I mean, 5 years from now having electricity. When does that mean, like potentially the earliest they could break ground? I don't know. A couple of years ago, I think we said 2028. I don't know if that's accurate or not. But they still have to present a development plan. Think of that as like pictures, and I heard Mr. Bennett talk about like it'd be great to have a bunch of boards and walk people around and show what it would look like. We can do that, but it's going to be, there's no pictures of what data centers are going to look like. We could show you where the zoning exists and maybe the footprint in which something could fit, but it's not really going to be a 3D rendering because the zoning text is kind of like fit within this box or this property boundary. The other thing, and probably the most important thing that we do not yet have, is a development agreement. And I know I'm using a lot of terms. Please go back and listen to this meeting, but a development agreement is really where we lay out in very specific terms. It's an agreement between the city and a proposed developer, and this is not uncommon for other development projects like neighborhoods or anything else. It basically says who is responsible for what. And it lays out specific contractual timelines, cost obligations. I heard somebody talk about some like the stop gaps. You contractually, how do we obligate the company to do certain things? That is the development agreement. And those are my general layman's explanation of what steps still need to happen. And those are big poles in the tent. Mr. Bream or Mr. Hennessy, do you have anything you'd like to add for Mr. Ghost and the public?
The only other thing I would add is just a little bit about what is on the agenda this evening. So the mayor addressed, I think, the comments that the public were raising. What's on the agenda this evening is a property owner's request to annex into the city of Sunbury, and that's all that this is. So that's annexing into the city. The zoning process will follow the same process that I think some of you have already seen, where it will go through the Planning and Zoning Commission first and come to council. There will be public hearings at both levels for that to happen. So there's still, again, a lot to happen. But again, this is simply the annexation of the property into the city.
Right. And then as far as the development plan goes, that gets, as normal, gets submitted to the zoning commission. They have to review it. They have to consider it. And if they happen to pass it, that's when it would come to us for consideration.
Yeah, in the limited industrial district, slightly different than that. The site plan will go to the Planning and Zoning Commission to make sure that it meets the requirements of the code. So again, no variances, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Why couldn't it work? Yeah.
Like what? Sorry. Yeah, thank you for the question. We're gonna go into executive session. I will grab you after this, if that's okay, and we can talk about the emergency process and what it does. That's all I can play. All right, sounds good. All right, I'll make it. I'll be in.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Breen, would you mind explaining the emergency process?
Emergencies are used, and somebody referenced it before, on ordinances that the council deems have the need for the public peace, health, safety, and welfare to be passed and be effective and to take immediate effect. Otherwise, it's 30 days until they take effect. That's what the emergency language is used for. There's nothing on the agenda tonight having to do with a data center or the construction of a data center.
Why is it an emergency?
Why is it what an emergency?
See that in 95 acres.
And I've been village attorney for 30 years, and most annexations, we do include emergency language.
Fine.
Because the annexation is just the first step in the process, as was referenced earlier. Normally, the taking of ground into the city by the request of a property owner, which is a property owner right, is in the city's best interest to accomplish. We want to accomplish it and move on to the subsequent steps, which are zoning, development agreements, and those type of things.
So it's not in the best interest of.
It's in the best interest of the residents of the city of Sunbury to annex ground and to grow. And you can argue that, you can say Sunbury should never grow. There are people that think that.
So it should be case by case scenario.
Mr. Green, to clarify that, so if I understand this correctly, emergency language for an annexation is, we have a first reading tonight, there's a second reading in 2 weeks, then there's a third reading 2 weeks later, where we can take action in terms of a vote.
Right.
And if we vote yes, that means it takes immediate effect, right? At that point, 30 days from now.
All right, I'm going to make a motion to enter executive session, Ohio Revised Code, section 121.22 G4, preparing for conducting or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment. Second by Mrs. Cooper.
Crawford, do you want us to invite folks who you want to invite?
Okay, who do we need here, Mr.
Yeah, so I don't see Mr. Albrecht. I think maybe he's outside. Oh, he is outside. So we'll have the deputy chief, the finance director, the assistant city manager, myself, and Mr. Breen. I think, and then of course, council.
Sounds good. Then we will keep them in. Let's take a 5-minute break.
But we need the roll call, I think.
Yeah, we will. We're going to take a 5-minute break. We'll reconvene at 8:53. Roll call.
Okay. Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford,
Yes.
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mr. Gumney,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
7 yeas, motion approved.
Thank you. Make a motion to reconvene.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Cooper. Roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Ms. Crawford,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Long.
Yes.
Put my glasses off.
7 yeas.
There we go.
We're back.
7 yeas, motion approved.
I'll make a motion to accept the fact finders report.
Second.
Second by Mr. Ghost.
Mr. Ghost.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mayor St. John.
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
7 yeas, motion approved.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Mr. Grumney. You have a special meeting on the 25th. It's next Wednesday, big one at high school. Roll call.
Mayor St. John.
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost.
Yes.
7 yeas, motion approved.
Thank you,
We are
everyone.
adjourned.